how do we within specifically in our culture, and I'm talking about the Christian hip hop, Christian R&B culture, how do we get better at being making authentic music that really speaks to real issues, real problems, not just feel good music?
I believe it starts with not only doing what you feel like you want to write, but writing what you feel that could be needed. Like, how can this actually serve somebody?
Coming live on your radio. What they want? That real and raw. How they get it? DJ Focus. What we doing? Making music, reaching the corner, and it's all for the kingdom. And we gon' make sure they know it. Ooh, 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 ooh. We gon' take it there. I like red letters over trap beats to fix it, saying ooh. DJ Focus, tell him turn you up. Ooh. DJ Focus, tell him turn you up. Ooh.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into the Fixx, your number one source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Y'all know the vibes. It's time for our spiritual detox. And, yeah, we talk about Christian R&B all the time. And listen, we got family on. She's been on a few times. And I'm excited because I've been watching the journey. So it's been encouraging to see her, like, continue to put the work in. And she got signed now, so y'all better look out because she got a whole team behind her now. The one and only Franchesca. What's going on, sis?
What's going on, DJ Focus? Thank you. What a wonderful introduction. Yes, God has been good. God has been blessing our works with our faith, and He has been doing a mighty work in the music, and we're grateful, and I'm excited to just be on today and share a little bit more about, my story and, like you said, the journey.
Yeah, well, come on. Listen, just go and brag on yourself for a minute. God is good.
No,
So talk
no.
about it. What does this tribal record signing mean to you from putting all this work on and being independent so long? Now you finally got a little team structure behind you. What does this mean to you?
Of course, it means a lot. Like, as an independent artist, just really doing the things behind the scenes alongside my husband and my manager, Hector. It's been a journey, and it definitely means a lot. I think it's definitely showed what hard work, diligence, and consistency can do when you're truly rooted in the Lord and, like, trusting Him through it all, and continuously knowing that this is not for a vain reason. Like, this is unto the Lord. And so as we've continued to keep that at the forefront, working hard, opportunities have come our way. And we've been, God, is this for us? Should we be doing this? Should we be, prayerful about it? And He's given us a concrete yes. And so it's amazing to be part of the tribal team. They've been wonderful to just work with. They're just a bright group of individuals, just working alongside them, even outside of just music, but just being able to have people that we can contact and have resources is amazing. It truly is amazing.
Absolutely. Was this always the goal? Did you always want to be signed, or did you just kind of just go with the spirit and how God was moving your career?
This definitely was not the goal. I wasn't looking for any record deal, record label, or anything like that. We just, we were just going along, and when we saw the opportunity come about, of course, like I said, we prayed about it, feeling like, God, do we have your peace? Do we feel like this is your yes? Do we feel like this is what you have for us in the next season? And what I'm finding is that when you start out doing something, your desires and those things can start to change when the opportunity does arise. It's like, does this make sense? Let's do it. Let's go with it. So it was not the initial goal at all. But God has showed us that this is the direction that He wants us to go in. So we're excited about it for sure.
How do you balance it all? Let's be very clear. You're a wife, you're a mom, you definitely got a great career that you're doing as an artist.
You.
How do you balance it all?
Ooh, first and foremost, God, leaning on Him, really having Him remind me of my why I'm doing this, why I'm remaining faithful to Him and to the purpose that He has on my life. So really leaning into Him. And secondly, my husband, he has been a tremendous, we're actually really close. We're really best friends outside of being, life partners and a reflection of Christ in the church. We are diligent in just being able to work together, teamwork, all those efforts, even getting started with all of this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, this is a lot. This is uncharted territory when it came to just creating music and doing all these things. But with his encouragement and his prayers and his motivation and actually truly, having somebody in my corner who's like, no, I think this is really good. I think you should definitely, lean into this and keep going. And so in that regard, that has helped tremendously, of course, just being able to be encouraged by somebody who truly knows you in and out, your flaws and all. And then on top of that, when it comes to the kids, our two beautiful baby boys, well, they're not babies anymore, but 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Right now, he has them. When I have to go to shows or there's anything like that, he gives me guilt-free time to go to the studio. He's like, babe, you need to book a session. Hey, managing on top of being a father, he's like, yeah, you need to book a session. Hey, did we call? He took a call earlier while I was able to get some other things done. A big call that we actually needed to take care of. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I can do something else. So definitely teamwork. Any kingdom marriages out there, just encourage y'all to have teamwork, because when we're aligned, we're on one accord, I feel like things work so much smoother. So those are a few ways. And of course, like with friends in my community, definitely being able to lean on them has been tremendous in this season.
Listen, that's amazing. Shouts out to your husband. I'm giving him a shout out for just doing that, because that's real. Yeah, shouts out to him. So what has God shown you? You've had your viral moments. I know you're working on new music, which you're going to talk about soon, but what has God shown you within this window of you, having the anthem and Enter Me and all the songs you've had previous to where you are working into now, the new music? What has God shown you specifically within your music that you maybe didn't know about yourself, or he wanted to bring something different out of you?
One thing I feel like that has stood out amongst all of the songs, like across all of the platforms with my music and my audience and how they've been correlating, one resounding word that people continuously say is healing. Your music is healing. Your music is healing, healing, healing. And never really started, like, I wasn't saying like, I want to create music like this. I just continued to write from the vein and sing from the vein of what God was truly doing in my life, or what I really felt was happening, not something that, I'm just writing something that I think would pop, or, how it is when it comes to the music industry. I just wrote something that I deeply was actually going through, or things that I knew other people had gone through. And I wrote in a sense of like, I wanted to serve these people with something that they have the problem. This is your solution. I have this problem as well, but this is what I do with it. And so one of the main things that he's shown me through my music, through Enter Me, Created for This, Rough Day, Memories, any of the songs really, is that people have been like, your music has been healing me, like getting me through seasons, and just healing parts of me that I didn't really know I needed to address. So even with like Rough Day, just being able to accept that in the Christian walk, you're going to have those days, and it doesn't make you any less of a Christian to say, I'm really going through something right now. And all the more, that's when you lean into the Lord more. All the more, that's when you call on him. All the more, that's when you trust in him. And like I said, we're created for this, feeling like the enemy is going to try to steal that purpose. He's going to try to steal that, that knowing that God called me to this. He called me to this space. He's going to try to make you feel inadequate, or like I don't fit, or like maybe this isn't for me, or, God, did you really? And no, I was created for this. This is what you called me to do, amongst, of course, glorifying his name above all else. But in those specific moments, he did deposit these purposes inside of us that are for us. Certain people can't serve a certain community like DJ Focus or Dice Gamble. You have something that other people don't. And so I definitely feel like that's it's healing people as far as from just imposter syndrome, or just certain things that could prevent them from truly believing what the Lord has for them. So one of the main things God has shown me is that this music is far greater than just streams. All of that is become therapeutic for people. It's become healing for people. It's become, almost kind of like the fix, it's become that prescription, or that like little thing that they need to, not even that they need, but that gets them through from one season to the next. And that's not what I intended to do. I was just writing from the heart, but I found that it's been almost like a journey of healing for the people who are looking from the outside in. And that is amazing, because, that's definitely something that I didn't anticipate, but I'm so grateful for.
At times, thanks for sharing that. I
Thank
think
you.
your music does resonate with people when you talk about healing, because I think at times the church is not doing a good enough job in talking about not only mental health but also walking people through that healing process, whatever it may be. It can be relationship wise, it can be grief from a loved one, it can be a multitude of things. But I think the church has been a little stagnant. We look for high church, we just look for the high praise, and we leave feeling all good. But what happens to the people who are not praising? So I think, one, I want to salute you, because stay in this lane for a little bit, because I think a
Thank
lot of
you.
people need to hear this authentic music that can heal and that resonates with them. So
Praise God.
how,
Thank
how,
you.
how do we? So my question would be then. This is gonna be a little I'm gonna ask it anyway. So how do we, within specifically in our culture, and I'm talking about the Christian hip hop, Christian R&B culture, how do we get better at making authentic music that really speaks to real issues, real problems, not just feel good music?
I believe it starts with not only doing what you feel like you want to write, but writing what you feel that could be needed. Like, how can this actually serve somebody? I think some of the best music that I've written has been, like I said, taking people from a season to another season. Like Enter Me, I feel like that resonated with a lot of people, because who isn't trying to really work on that themselves in that type of way? And when I wrote that, I didn't really know that it would do what it did. I didn't, and I thought it was a good record, but it's definitely showing me that we have to, I think just as a Christian space, is remember that we're not robotic. We're not the Lord himself. And we have so many issues, so many problems that go deeper than just something that you just want to bop to where you're at the gym, or something that you just want to put on. So I think really leaning into their authentic story, not who somebody that they're trying to portray. I'll never be going through nothing. God is good, blessed and highly favored. And there's seasons for that too. There's definitely seasons for that. But I believe that, there are certain spaces where if you're honest with yourself, if Christians are honest with themselves, I think it would do better also to serve the unsaved as well, to see that, hey, I was actually at that same place. I was at that same point, and I got a song for you about this, not just, but we still need the praise music. Like, those spaces we do need, but I think I think the best thing that we could do is just be honest with ourselves, and be okay with people thinking whatever they want to think about the whatever season that you're in, because at one time or another, someone else is passing through that season in the Christian space, just in life in general. So I to answer your question, I really think that being authentic in themselves, saying, what am I actually going through? Not just to get on playlists, not just to, do that. Now, of course, those things serve a purpose as well, but serve both. If you want to say, hey, this is something that will uplift you, but let me, catch those other people who are passing through my music that are going through that tough time. Because one thing that everybody can relate to one time or another is struggling, is trying to figure out, Lord, how do I get through this season? And I just was writing this one song that is about coming through, like getting through those moments, and now finally getting to a place of being like, "Oh, God, I knew you was going to work it out." But regardless, I think we have to go a little bit deeper when it comes to what it is, the message that we're trying to get across. And even though it's music, really realizing that it's ministry first is where I think we could start. And sometimes to minister, you have to testify. It says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so I do feel like testifying is a place that some Christians don't really do as much anymore for whatever reason. Not saying any is better than the other, but I do feel like testifying really can get through to some people, because they see the Christian walk and they're like, you're not going through anything, but when you actually can say, no, I actually have, and they kind of lean in a little bit more to be like, okay, and that is where I feel like the church and the unsaved can both relate and be drawn in by the transparency.
Was that ever a struggle when you talk about the understanding the business side as well as the ministry side? Because I definitely hear what you're saying. Absolutely, it should be ministry driven first. But you as an artist, you talk about it. You know, everything's a number game. Let's be very clear. Like, I'm pretty sure Tribal was looking at your numbers, like what you stream, what your social media looked like. Was that ever a struggle for you to balance that ministry versus going hard for the business side or going hard for the ministry?
It actually, by the grace of God, it wasn't. It was like it coincided. It was like because I was doing that, people just gravitated towards it. And I think it's just something that maybe they hadn't heard or something that they were like, wow, I never really heard a song. Like I'll use Enter Me, for instance. I never heard a song about personal growth that interchanged the peace of God. Like, you know, all of these things intertwining with your morning routine and your water intake. And, you know, I mentioned these types of things like in the song through like a creative way of storytelling, and getting through trauma and doing all those things to heal. And in doing those things, that's honorable to the Lord. But I think there almost was like, I never really heard a song like this. So I'm naturally like that though. I'm very detailed in how I tell stories or how I want to hear stories. I'm like, wait. But what happened before that? And so as I'm storytelling and songwriting, I'm writing it from a real time, real life perspective. And I think that that's something that people naturally gravitated towards. And that's kind of where my audience started to blossom and really start to gain traction as far as, you know, there's a community of people who were interested in more so like practical. I like to use the word like lifestyle music. I make lifestyle music for believers, and lifestyle music is not just music that will only serve you on Sundays, but it's going to serve you through your morning routine. It's going to serve you by driving you in purpose. It's going to serve you in your single season. I have a song about Christian date night. I have a song about better together, Christian marriages. I have a song about rough day. Like there's so many ebbs and flows. And so I try to write to the practicalities. And I think that because that just was genuine to who I am, I'm a very practical person. Even when people are giving me advice, I'm like, okay, so how would I actually like put, you know, like the church can be very spiritual, but sometimes it's in the practical things of like read for 30 minutes today and do like, not just, get in the word and do this. I'm like, okay, but then how did you do that? Like I'm a practical person. So just being that in truly who I am, I just started to write in that type of way. And that's where I feel like the traction kind of just came about. So thank God that he worked it out that way. And that's kind of just the community that I fostered. And that's just how I love to write like that though, like very practical. But I do feel like right now in this season, I am writing some music that gives a more general type of sound, because to your catalog, you want to have that diversity, you know, and be able to, you know, have a few different tracks that people can hear and everything. So when writing those things, no, it just kind of came natural as I put the music out. The people it was for gravitated towards it. They shared it. They loved it. They like it. They stream it. And we're growing. And it's exciting to see people want this type of music and to be able to serve people with this type of music. So it's working. It's working hand in hand, which is very, very cool to see.
Listen, don't touch that dial. We got to go to a quick break. We coming right back with more from Franchesca. You're tapped into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in. So come on, sis. Let's talk about this new music. You got this new track out, Distance. Come on and talk about the inspiration behind it. What went into, you know, writing this track, production. Come on. I feel like this is like a new coming out little party for yourself. Come on and talk about it.
Oh my gosh, Distance. I love this song. People have been loving this track because kind of like we said, it's just in that vein of just that everyday type of walk. Writing this song, to be honest with you, I had to reach back to when I first got saved. The person who produced the track, Kid Class and Bobby Keys, shout out to y'all because y'all did y'all thing. They are phenomenal producers and really just gave like me something that inspired me. So I remember turning it on and just getting to writing that first line and really just reaching way back. I wanted to definitely serve the community with something else that's kind of just helping them to come up, come higher. Where is God calling you? What is he calling you out of? What is weighing you down? What have you yoked with that you're not supposed to be yoked with? And that's where the inspiration from this song came from. Was, of course, I have a track out. Shout out to CB Rizzo. We have Unequally Yoked when it comes to relationships. But this one, I was like, how many people are really struggling in those friendships? I didn't have anyone to like encourage me out of my friendships when I was just getting saved. You know, it took, you know, failing and falling and being like, oh, okay, I'm going to go to the club and then I'm going to feel bad or feel like, why am I here? You know, what am I doing here? You know, trying to decipher, you know, is this like, can I pull them into Christ? You know, because God, you saved me for a purpose. And if they're, you know, not believing in you, then clearly I have to really pull them closer to you. But really understanding like that's not what he was calling me to. He was calling me to distance myself from those situations, because in most of those times it was a weight. It started to weigh down. It just started to not elevate me and take me to where the Lord was taking me spiritually. And in the music video that we just released, we, you know, just a little, you know, peek into there. It was a visual. It was a visual in there where it was showing like, hey girl, I'm trying to do this. And she was stuck on, girl, you know what we've been on, you know what we've been doing, you know, and really understanding that your faithfulness to people cannot be more than your faithfulness to God. And so I really was inspired by, you know, early on in my walk and understanding that, man, unequally yoked friendships can literally be so detrimental if you don't really assess them and see, God, is this somewhere that you have me? And if it's not, it's gonna hurt. Like it's no easy way out of that. It's no easy way out of it. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be like, man, I feel like I'm betraying this person. I feel like I'm doing this. But the Lord says that you must lay those things down. You gotta lay those things down, especially if you know that this friendship or, you know, this environment is not conducive for the Spirit of God. And so I really, really was inspired to call people to boldness, to courage, to step away, to say, hey, I love you, but I cannot stay any longer. God is calling me somewhere else. And it's not to even say higher than wherever you are, but he's just calling me to this journey to himself. And this relationship, in all honesty, is drawing me further away from him. And I have to be honest with you. And for that reason, you know, and I say that actually in the song, for that reason, I need distance. And so that was the inspiration for this track. And that's just my desire, that people would be drawn closer to godly community, that they would have a prayer life that speaks to desiring God. I want something I want friends that are holy and godly and modest and graceful and loving and truthful and self-controlled. And, you know, I want those things, God. Can you do that for me? And his word says that he will. If those things are in alignment with his will, he will do those things for you. So that is my inspiration for distance.
Listen, that was a lot. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So when you talk about the church, and because I got to go back to the church, because I feel like all your songs, they just minister to the church and the season we in now. When you talk about boldness, why do you think so many believers are not bold like that to distance themselves from relationships that don't mean them no good? And this is why I think sometimes the church is called hypocrites, or we call lukewarm Christians, because we don't stand up bold. Why do you think so many people struggle in this area?
Accountability, for sure. I think accountability when it comes to having a wise counsel around you to be like, you know, hey, what are you hanging out with actually my friend's name in the video, her name is Takesha. Like you hanging out with Takesha a lot. And, you know, on your story lately, like being able to have the boldness to have godly community that you are accountable to. I think a lot of people aren't getting people around them that are accountable, that can hold them accountable. They're just around people who will let them do whatever. And it's like, we have to be iron sharpening iron. So sometimes you have to get confronted with whatever it is that you might be doing. Like, hey, you've clubbing, you've been, you know what I'm saying, doing that a lot lately. You know, I thought, you know, come on, let's come on to Bible study and really just being accountable, being truthful, being honest. And I think the only God can judge me type of sayings and culture has really driven people away from feeling like, oh, I'm judging this person if I'm holding them accountable to the standard and to the belief that they say that they're a part of, you know, and in love though, you know, in love,
Yeah.
And making sure that you have a relationship with that person to be able to speak into their life, because I do feel like relationship gives you grace to be able to say, hey girl, I haven't seen you at church lately. You know, how have you been? What have you been up to? And then they tell you, and you can speak life into the girl. You know, God has called you from out of those places and relationships, or, you know, girl, I've been with Day Day, and you know, we've been, you know, da da da, you know, and it's like, girl, but being a safe place too for those people to be able to be honest. So I think part of it is just having accountability, and that accountability does include not being lukewarm, not letting these people stay in places that clearly God is saying, get off the fence. You cannot be on the fence. Either you're hot or cold. And it says if you're either, you know, you need to be one or the other. So I definitely feel like lukewarmness and accountability are two places that, two things that are keeping people from having those conversations. Am I live? Am I
You
connected?
still there, sis?
I'm there. I'm here. Can you hear me?
You froze up on me.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me at least? You just can't see me?
Yeah. Not there. You go. You unfroze now. Okay, because you had froze up and I didn't hear anything.
Oh God.
No worries. No worry. My editor get it. I got two more questions for you. I'm gonna get you out of here. You just said something. I lost my train of thought.
I'm saying
Never mind.
accountability, lukewarmness,
Yeah.
cold.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. That's what I wanted to talk about. Accountability. Listen, you just said something, sis. When you talk about accountability, where's the balance at now? Because I feel like, you know, I think it's mixed emotions, especially in the music industry. Let's talk about it for a minute. You know, we know that a lot of mainstream artists are sharing their faith a lot more. You know, I can say Gorilla, I can say MC Light, I can say Ye, I can say Chance, Justin. I can go down the list of all these different artists. Even Nicki Minaj has done stuff with Tasha. Where is the balance then between building relationships, accountability versus judgment when we look at it from a scripture standpoint, as well as, you know, just as a community? How do we balance that?
I feel like you have to know what is that person's goal. What is your overall goal when it comes to your relationship with Christ? And just blatantly asking that, is it sanctification? Because if it is, then a lot of things are going to have to change from here. If it's simply to say, I just want to be able to pray to the Lord and I want to, you know, have my own relationship with him, but I'm just not ready to go all the way there yet. I do feel like the Lord is walking step in step with some people. And, you know, all as these seeds are being planted, another man, the word says another man will come and water those. And so every season doesn't look the same for every person. And they might have a desire to, oh, I like God, but I love my sin more right now, but I'm getting closer than I've ever been before. And I feel him calling me, but I'm not all the way ready to lay everything down. I feel like whoever is in relationship with that person, you ultimately need to know the goal of that person. What is your goal when it comes to your relationship with God? Asking them that. And if they're not saying, I want to be in church and I want to be doing all, I would encourage them to say, well, there's so much that comes from that. There's so much. Am I still here?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure, you know, explaining to them that there's so much beauty. There's this in community. And when you fully lay down and you share your testimony, all that the Lord has done for you. And if the Spirit of the living God has not instructed them to move and, you know, in their staying wherever it is that they're staying, I feel like that is a place where you have to say, I was called to this moment, but I'm not the person that's going to pull them all the way in. And so it's still building that relationship with them. Hey sis, how are things going? You know, you see them maybe still being on the fence or lukewarm, but you're not shunning them, or you're not saying, well, you know what, you ain't really a Christian anyways, or you're not, you know, you ain't going to church every Sunday, so I can't talk to you, or I can't do those things. But to have if that person is now, every time you're around them, they're drawing you into darkness, that is when you need to distance yourself. You know, that is when you need to say, okay, I respectfully have to walk away. But if you know your assignment in that relationship and that the Lord has called you to do life with them in a proximity type of way, where I know that I can't club with you and party with you, but I can check on you. I can call you. I can pray with you. I can send you scripture. I can do all of those things. And when the moment is right and when the Lord has spoken, his will is that not one would perish. So I have to have that faith and believe that eventually you're gonna come all the way in. But shunning you and pushing you away and doing all of those things, and like I said, even the people, like you mentioned, the mainstream artists who show a glimmer of their faith, but they might not all the way be fully in. I feel like the balance is discipleship, is ministering to them, is loving them where they are, and continuously inviting them in and calling them higher when you feel led to do so. But definitely not being like, I can't talk to you, da da da. But being best friends with those people, I do not feel like that is like a believer. I do feel like at the end of the day, it will start to pull on you, especially if you're am I still here? I'm just having to check. Am I frozen? Okay, you're frozen.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. All right, so do you see me? Can you see me?
No, now I can. Now I can.
Now you can? Okay, so
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me at all? No.
I can hear you perfect.
Okay.
So I'll try to double back, but the last thing I was saying was to be in a super tight personal relationship with, I feel like that could eventually be detrimental, because the word says that bad company in that regard, where they're probably not fully all the way devoted to the sanctification process, they eventually, your bad company will corrupt good morals. And so I do feel like there's a balance that you can disciple these people, or you can do life with them and pray with them and do these things. But to fully engulf yourself and to start to enter in their world, I do feel like that is where compromise will enter into the chat.
That's good. That's good. Listen, I got to get you back on, sis. You came over here talking some good talk.
Glory to God.
Listen, come on and tell the people how to connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms. And listen, please introduce your latest single.
Of course. Y'all, I am Franchesca. You can find me all social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Franchesca makes music across the board. Franchesca with an H. Don't forget the H. And my latest single, Distance, is streaming everywhere that you listen to your favorite music. So please check it out. And by any means, please let me know what you think about it. I love y'all.
Keep it locked. You tune into the Fixx. You know the Fixx is in.